Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors Academy, the place where we not only talk about what's going on in the gun world, but also how we're going to fix it together. And the content that I'm going to show you is yet another lawsuit launched against Polymer 80, the ghost gun manufacturers, because the left is employing some unique tactics here, something that you would think, and they've told, that is against their ethos. Yeah, we're going to break it all down, but this is another lawsuit to stack on the pile of people and lawyers who are chasing money at the behest of families of grieving children and grieving people. That's essentially what we're dealing with here. This is a whole lot of gross, and everything will be linked in the description box below, and I can't wait to hear what you guys think. And please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn the notification bell on. All right, beautiful people, we're about to walk through a disturbing pattern that we're observing, and I've got a lot more coming on this topic, but right now I'm going to show you what happened prior, what some of the consequences or the benefits were, depending on which side of this you were on, and then I'm going to show you what's tending to happen here when you involve lawyers and money. I mean, no offense to lawyers watching, but like that usually leads to more lawsuits. Come on, let's be real. But let me show you something here, because a lot of the states that are on the blue side of the political aisle have opened up the ability for lawyers and law firms to sue manufacturers, okay? So if you look at New York, Attorney General James secures $7.8 million from ghost gun retailer for illegally shipping ghost guns to New York. Now that happened in March. Look at some of the details. Then I'll show you some other ones in some other areas. You'll start to see the pattern. New York Attorney General Letitia James secured a $7.8 million judgment and permanent injunction against gun retailer Indie Guns for illegally selling ghost gun components in New York. And it's a Florida-based company. So at least she has something else to do when she's not persecuting Trump for being Trump. But look over here. Let's go to a different city, which is a gun control city. Baltimore reaches $1.2 million settlement in lawsuit against ghost gun manufacturer Polymer 80. Well, that was in February of this year. So you've got a lawsuit in February of this year. You have a judgment in March of this year against retailers. You have Everytown for Gun Safety suing ghost gun manufacturers in Michigan, JSD Supply. And then you've got Everytown for Gun Safety in Illinois, or Chicago rather, trying to ban Glocks because of their conversion abilities into machine guns. You guys starting to see the pattern evolving? Now let me show you the clips here. And these lawyers you're about to hear from aren't Everytown for Gun Safety lawyers. They're just lawyers who have seen an open door and they have a viable option to go forward with what they want to do. Not the lawyers, the family, all right? Again, I'm not dogging on lawyers. I'm just saying when you have settlements that are coming out like this and it's going through the court system and you have lawyers and you have millions of dollars, families are going to want to access that $1 million pool and lawyers are right there to do it. I mean, like that's just how it works, right? So let's check this out. This is the first clip.
The high school student with dreams of becoming a doctor was struck and killed by a stray bullet in broad daylight in the Bronx in April of 2022, blocks away from her school. Police say the 17-year-old who pulled the trigger was convicted of murder. Detectives say the bullet came from a ghost gun.
The bullet came from a ghost gun by a 17-year-old in a gun control state. So therefore, it's obvious that the manufacturers are at fault. Now, what we're about to go into here is some people who either do not understand gun laws or what guns are, or the NFA, or the Gun Control Act of 1986. They don't know any of these things because they're calling Polymer 80s or unfinished frames and receivers guns. They're not guns. That's the problem. The ATF even had rulings ruling against them when they said they were guns in the tactical machining case. The big takeaway was you couldn't sell a jig with a frame and receiver, then it's making it readily convertible. But if you take the jig out, then you just sell the frame, it's still not a gun. That's the entire point. They're trying to sue these manufacturers out of existence because they're selling guns without background checks, which is the consistent theme across all of these lawsuits. But the problem is, Polymer 80 settled with Baltimore, and now more are coming. Of course more are coming. You settled when you did nothing wrong. That implies guilt. Now you got more coming, this time from New York. Listen to the first lawyer. We're going to break it down, then I've got the second lawyer on the same firm.
Earlier this week, Angeli's mother filed a lawsuit against Polymer 80, a firearm manufacturing company that sells ghost gun kits.
The family has stepped up to bring down ghost gun manufacturers, a lawsuit that is probably overdue in New York. It's marked that way on the frame itself that it's a Polymer 80. Again, sadly, one that we know is unserialized, unmarked otherwise, and yet gets distributed into the kind of stream of commerce.
According to the complaint, Polymer 80 intentionally structured their business to circumvent firearm laws by designing, manufacturing, and selling ghost gun kits that can readily be assembled into functional firearms without a background check.
Did you catch that? I'm going to leave it on the screen for a second. Readily assembled. That's the exact language that the ATF uses. That language change from the ATF is now translating down to lawsuits at state level. So readily convertible is the actual term that they use in the ATF, but they use readily assemblable, readily assembled into a firearm. But the fact is, if it's going to be assembled into a firearm, that means that it is not a firearm. What they are arguing here is that a apple is an orange, and because it's going to be an orange, it's not an apple anymore. It doesn't make any sense. Per the actual laws at a federal level, Polymer 80 is not selling guns, because if they were selling guns, they could not ship to your door. They would have to go to an FFL. They aren't shipping guns. They aren't selling guns. They are selling unfinished frames and receivers to individuals. That's not a gun. The people are finishing off the frames. They're making them their own personal firearms. That's what they call PMFs, and the ATF is perfectly fine with PMFs. All of a sudden, that's a gun that the company did, and they were malfeasant. They were showing malfeasance in not doing background checks for something that doesn't require background checks. This is a consistent theme. You saw the same thing in Michigan with Everytown for gun safety, their lawsuit. Now let's hear from the other lawyer here. Again, listen to the verbiage that he uses, and you're going to see this in every single blue state that exists with gun control in the mind. All right, check it out.
They have a significant role that they play, and they need to be held accountable.
The lawsuit alleges that Polymer 80 flooded New York City streets with unserialized gun kits that can be assembled at home with no background checks.
He was able to obtain this weapon as a result of it being sold into the stream of commerce with no markings, with no way to trace it, without the requirements that are imposed on a gun manufacturer and seller by law.
The lawsuit is possible thanks to a 2021 law allowing the state and people affected by gun violence to sue gun makers who knowingly endanger the public with their products.
So there's a lot of systems in place to ensure that when guns are properly sold, they don't get into the hands of criminals. But this company, they just decided we're not going to do that.
So right there, it's a complete fabrication. The company did not just decide we aren't going to follow federal firearms laws. In fact, the only way they exist is by following federal firearms laws. But what they're doing now is they're launching all of these videos and interviews and all these clips saying that they're suing Ghost Guns, being the heroes to destroy that mean, evil company that was breaking the rules when they weren't breaking the rules. If Polymer 80 settles on this, they're going to look like they were guilty. And they're going to get more of them until they go bankrupt. If they fight this, and they say it's actually not a gun, they actually have a chance to beat all these lawsuits. But the fact is, they've been bullied and beleaguered into this idea that if they just settle it, it'll go away. It will not go away. These people are zealots. You have now added in multiple states that have opened up the floodgates of lawsuits to manufacturers who are following federal firearms law, but now they have money attached to them and they have a bounty on their head. You mix in grieving families, you mix in Everytown for Gun Safety pushing it, you mix in lawyers who are able to do it, and now you got all these lawsuits. This is what their intention is. They're going to try to destroy gun companies through lawsuits, through lawfare. They are weaponizing the legal system. And that's what I've got for you guys. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I will see you on the next one. I'm Braden. See you later.